What's up, guys? For my video this week, I thought I'd give you a little bit of information about surf fishing. Don't know if any of you know this, but I like catching fish a lot. To start, this is my rod. I got a size 4500 Penn Slammer on here. I love this thing. It can go underwater when I'm wading through sandbars and stuff. It's a workhorse. It's on a 9'6" medium heavy Tsunami Trophy 2. This thing's great. I might actually want to get a longer one this next season, like 10'6", for a little bit more casting distance, but I really love this. I put some big fish on it. It's been sweet. I'm always pretty much wearing waders because I'm usually in water up to my knees or my waist, sometimes up to my chest if I'm walking out to like a really deep sandbar. These are Tide waders, actually pretty cheap on Amazon, love them. And then a couple other important things right here. This belt is called a Z belt. It's made by like this guy in Rhode Island, sweet one-man business. They're like the best surf casting belts you can get. Kind of modeled off a weightlifting belt, so it holds a lot of stuff really well. And then fish grips, really important when you got a big fish thrashing around, especially when you're in waves. And then I got pliers too on this hip, pretty normal pliers, but they're in a case, and this lanyard also made by like another small business, this guy out in Rhode Island. So I pretty much love all this gear. I've had it for like 2 years. It's been pretty good to me. And now I think we'll go inside. I'll show you guys what's inside this bag, okay?
So this is my surf bag. It's a Surf Right Supreme. It has 3 tubes in it and a bunch of pouches and side pouches for other stuff. Let me get this all out on the table and I'll show you what we got going on here. All right, that's better. So we got them all laid out on the table here. We'll go through them one by one, just talk a little bit about each type of lure, any special ones, and kind of what I generally like to use them for. All right, welcome to the lab. So, got a bunch of lures laid out here, kind of go through each one. Starting down here with the metals, the plastics, and the epoxies. So to start, these guys, these are called diamond jigs because of the diamond piece of metal, and then there's like a tube behind them. As you can tell, I like green a lot. I use these to imitate sand eels, which are like these eels. They're like that long to that long. All along the East Coast, especially in the fall. Stripers, bluefish, absolutely love them. White's pretty good too, but you know, green is definitely my favorite. I have them in weights from 1.5 ounce all the way up to 3.5 ounce if it's like super windy or if it's like really rough. I'm usually reaching for the heavier ones. Kind of a similar jig, I would say, is the Hopkins tin. So these are like a hammered metal to imitate like you know, any type of small silver bait fish. I carry a couple of these. These are kind of always good anywhere in the world, honestly. Like these will catch fish. They look like a little fish in the water, and big fish like that. Then we get down to the soft plastic. So these are really good, especially at night. These you can fish really slow. That tail waggles a lot. These are always imitating fish. That movement is really important because the fish that I target, mainly striped bass, they don't go by sight. They actually can sense movement in the water. So anything big, like big heavy profile like this that's doing a lot of movement is really good for them, especially at night. They're gonna key in on that, they're gonna get that, and they have these really big triple strong VMC hooks, which is huge because you can actually bend out hooks when you're fishing for striped bass. You can see this hook right here. I don't know if you can see that well, but I actually bent this hook out, reeling in like a 32-inch striper, which isn't even that big. Like they get much bigger than that. So really strong hooks are really important. Unfortunately, they're expensive, so not all lure manufacturers use them. For example, these plastics are a little weaker. These are smaller. You would use this kind of in the springtime when there's kind of smaller fish around, but they're really successful too. This is a Tsunami swim shad. Caught fish on this, they're great, but you know, not as heavy duty as kind of this type of heavier soft plastic. Before we move down to the rest of the plugs here, we do have these teasers. These are like a fly almost for fly fishing, but I tie them like 2 feet above the main lure. This imitates like a really tiny bait fish or like tiny sand eel. A couple different types of these. There's a guy down in Belmar, New Jersey that I DM on Instagram and custom ties these, which is sweet. So I get an order probably, you know, 2 or 3 times a year. These are great. You can actually catch like big stripers on little flies like that, which is sweet. So I always carry those, especially if you're like fishing and you see little bait in the water. Sometimes bass literally will be keyed in on bait that's that big or that big, and any of these big stuff, they won't even look at it. You gotta have the small stuff. Speaking of small stuff, these epoxy jigs. So these are like really little metal jigs that are covered in epoxy. So they're like shiny, they cast really far, they imitate really small fish. These are really good for striped bass, again, when they're keyed in on tiny fish, or for pelagics. Pelagics are like tuna, false albacore, and bonito. Obviously, tuna don't come in close to shore, but false albacore and bonito almost look like a mini tuna, and they go for exclusively stuff like this. They're super sick to catch. I've only caught them once in my life, but if they're around, you always gotta have this in the bag. You gotta be ready, because they'll blitz, you'll see them coming in, they're going a million miles an hour across the beach. You throw one of these in front of them, you might get hooked up, which is sweet. Next, I think we'll go into bucktails. There's a ton of these on this table, all different colors, all different sizes. That's because this is like, even though it looks kind of dumb, it's just like a piece of metal with literally a tail from a buck, like deer tail on the back. So when this flows through the water, that hair like flows really nicely, and it creates the profile of a bait fish. These can be fished fast, they can be fished slow, they're good during the day, they're good during the night. They're one of the most simple lures, but they're really effective. They're one of like the oldest fishing lures there is. There's like old dudes that fish the beach that literally only carry this in a bag because it's all they use. I've had a lot of success with them. They're pretty sweet. They're hard to fish though. It's a feel thing. You gotta like go kind of slow. You gotta move your rod a little bit. You gotta feel where you are, close to the bottom or high up. So it does take a bit of learning to do, but once you catch fish with them, you just want to keep using them. So I carry like 6 of them, again, in different weights, 3/4 ounce all the way to, 1.5 ounce. I even got, this is a 2.5 ounce for when I'm fishing like a jetty or deep water or really fast moving water. Then we get down here to the end of this table. I can slide this over, maybe you can see this. These are more what are called plugs. So they're, traditionally they were made out of wood. Now it's a lot more plastic, though I do have a wood one here. They're kind of longer, bigger baits that are meant to swim through the water and imitate larger fish. So like a bunker, a really large sand eel, any large, classic, any fish you can think of, the smaller versions of it are fish that striped bass want to eat. So we have these. This is like a hydro minnow. It's cast really far. It wobbles in the water. It's great. Honestly, my favorite one here is these two guys. These are made by a small company in Long Island called Joe Bags. It's called their Swarter. This thing is sweet. It casts so far. It's so reliable. I have caught a ton of fish on this. This one you can see it's super duper banged up. It's got tons of scars from bluefish teeth, from striper teeth, because I just caught, I don't even know how many fish on this thing. It's a classic. But I keep fishing it because it works. A lot of really good plugs. You fish it for a while. It just keeps working. You never want to say bye to it. You don't want to hang it up. So this guy, I've changed the hooks on it because they've rusted out. I've like changed all the hardware on it. Keeps fishing. This is on like my 4th season with this dude. There's other really successful ones in here too. The needlefish, this imitates like anything long and skinny. Cast this out really like low along the bottom. Again, like the bucktail, hard to fish, takes a lot of experience. I'm not very good at this one. Don't really know how to use it yet, but I carry it because I want to practice with it, trying to get better. We got the darter. This is a really big darter. This casts out and it kind of has like a low, slow side-to-side motion. Imitates anything that's like a big body bait fish, a bunker up to like a 1-foot fish. Because again, the striper doesn't really see this necessarily. They're more just keyed in on the sound and the motion. And the motion that this makes can catch some really big fish. These are classic, especially late at night. If I'm out at like midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. fishing a tide, a darter is like a go-to always. So that's like a nighttime one. The daytime is completely opposite. In the daytime, you want to throw top water. So these are called pencil poppers. These actually float. So this is like a long and skinny one. This one's made at a company out of Nantucket, actually, specifically for kind of the beaches they see there. This one's more general. This is my favorite one, honestly. You can see it also has all those scars on it. That means I've been using it for a long time. This thing, you put on the top of the water, you work it back and forth. It's called walking the dog. Makes a ton of splashing, ton of noise. Any riled up fish that's feeding is gonna, slam this thing. You literally see it jump out of the water sometimes and they hit them like Jaws. It's sick. This past spring, I had like a 2-hour, it was probably like a 1.5 hour session. I think I caught like 20 bluefish on just this thing. It was like every cast, it was sick. By the end of it, I was exhausted. My arms were gonna fall off. I had bruises everywhere. It was fucking sweet. So pencil pops are really fun, but they have to be blitzing. You have to get the right time, right place for these guys. And then the final one here is, I mentioned I had a wooden one. This is a metal lip lure. This is a handmade lure. I think it's called Me Fishing Co. This guy's in Maine. He makes handmade wooden lures. There's tons of guys you get, custom on Instagram. You find them on online. Like they actually do shows where you like go to like a convention center and these guys all bring the plugs they make and you buy them. So they're expensive, they're handmade, they're really like little works of art, but this one's a metal lip swimmer. This sits on top of the water, and this lip, you know, kind of makes it move like that. Great for really big fish, great for night fishing when it's kind of calmer. You work this thing in. But I've started to get into these. That's a slippery slope. These are very expensive, and there's a ton of other stuff custom like that as you get into the fishing world. So I hope this was mediumly interesting for you guys. Just a little slice of what has become kind of the biggest hobby. It's so much fun being out on the beach. That's honestly the best part. There's so much gear to get into, but the best part is just being out on the beach. And if you're lucky, you get into a fish. So thank you guys. I hope I don't have to do this again, even though my team is fucking ass, but thank you. Appreciate it. Some of you thought I forgot, and I did forget actually that I have to do this. So let's just give a little toast to the fishing gods. May we catch many fish. May our shittiest fucking first round pick ever, Ashton Benton, get a touchdown between now and the end of the season. And yeah, cheers, boys. Oh, so good.